You have someone in your life who has stood by you through every storm. She has loved you when you were at your lowest, stood with you when you were most fragile, and stayed loyal even when others walked away. But one day, you start to take her loyalty for granted. You break her trust. You hurt her deeply. Do you think things will stay the same? Let me tell you something. Once you hurt a truly loyal woman, she changes for good. Today, we're going deep into the emotional reality behind loyalty, pain, and what shifts inside a deeply committed woman when she feels betrayed. If you've ever loved or been loved by someone truly loyal, this is something you need to understand. Loyalty is one of the most powerful and rare traits a person can have. It's not something you can just demand, and it doesn't exist simply because of a label or promise. Loyalty is offered freely, given by choice, built on trust and emotional investment. When a woman is loyal, truly loyal, she gives everything. She puts her heart into the relationship, not just with words, but with her actions, her patience, her deep understanding, and a level of emotional strength few can match. But here's where so many people make a mistake, especially men. They assume loyalty is unchanging, like it will stay no matter what they do. They think they can act however they want, ignore her, hurt her, and she'll still be there. And at first, that might seem true. A deeply loyal woman will put up with things most people would never tolerate. She forgives. She tries to understand. She gives you the benefit of the doubt, not because she's weak, but because she's strong enough to believe in growth, in change, and in love being bigger than just happy moments. But even strong people have limits. And when a loyal woman reaches hers, something shifts deep inside. It's not always sudden. It's not a loud argument or a single dramatic moment. It's slow, like water carving into stone, like a flame that fades because it hasn't been fed for too long. She starts to see, clearly and painfully, that her loyalty isn't being returned, that the love she's been giving isn't being appreciated or treated with the same kind of care. And when she finally sees that, when it really sinks in, she begins to let go. Not out of spite, not to get even, but to protect herself. This is something many don't get. Loyalty is not something that ties someone down no matter what. It's not a life sentence. It's a choice, a decision made every day based on respect and value. When that respect is broken, when the appreciation disappears, loyalty begins to fall apart. And when it's gone, it's nearly impossible to rebuild. A woman who gave everything she had, who stayed beside someone during their hardest times, doesn't just leave on a whim. She walks away because she has no other option, because staying would mean going against her own worth. And the saddest part? By the time she leaves, she isn't the same person she was when the relationship started. Through all the pain, she's learned a tough truth, that love alone isn't enough, that giving loyalty to someone who doesn't value it doesn't make her noble, it makes her lose herself. And when she understands that, she won't let it happen again. For the one who lost her, the reality hits too late. He'll think back to how she used to fight for him, how she always believed in him, how she saw the best in him even when he couldn't. He'll remember her warmth, her patience, the way she made him feel safe and understood, even when he didn't deserve it. And then he'll realize, with deep regret, that all of that is gone. Not because she wanted to leave, but because he left her no choice. And that's the true cost of taking a loyal woman for granted. You don't just lose her. You lose everything she brought with her. The strength, the softness, the belief she had in you. You lose the version of yourself that only existed because she saw something in you worth believing in. Betrayal does something deep. It changes people, not just for the moment, but in how they see the world. When a loyal woman is hurt, when she's lied to, used, or ignored, it doesn't just break her heart. It rewires how she thinks. It shifts her very identity. The damage of betrayal doesn't fade quickly, because it cuts into something essential: trust. And trust isn't just about believing someone. It's the very structure on which someone builds their understanding of relationships. A loyal woman doesn't start a relationship expecting the worst. She doesn't hold back. She gives her love with open arms, believing that real love is worth it, that when she gives her best, it will be valued, that her support, her gentleness, and her faith in the other person will be returned. Because she believes so deeply in this, she overlooks flaws, forgives wrongs, and gives more chances than most. Not because she's blind, but because she hopes. But what happens when that hope is crushed? What happens when she feels that her love was wasted, her trust ignored? She doesn't just stop trusting the person who hurt her. She starts to doubt herself. She questions everything. Was she wrong to trust? Did she miss signs? Did she choose wrong because she wanted to believe in someone who wasn't ready for her love? And as these thoughts go around in her mind, something inside her begins to change. The brain reacts to betrayal in the same way it does to physical harm. Emotionally, it lights up the same pain areas. But the difference is this: while physical wounds heal with time, emotional wounds shift how someone sees the world permanently. A woman who's been hurt like this doesn't look at love the same way anymore. Her trust is slower, her heart more guarded. She becomes careful where she was once fearless. What used to be simple now feels risky. And she didn't choose this change. It happened because she had to protect herself. People wonder why a woman seems so different after heartbreak. Why her love seems colder, her presence more distant. It's not because she doesn't feel anymore. It's because her mind won't let her fall the same way again. It builds walls. It watches for red flags. It doubts words that used to make her smile. And this makes love harder for her. What once felt like a safe place now feels like walking through fire. She no longer accepts what she used to excuse. She doesn't believe that love alone can fix everything. She looks for proof now. Proof of love, of honesty, of respect. Not just through words, but through actions. And if she doesn't see it, she leaves. Not with shouting or revenge, but with calm strength. And for those who once had her loyalty, this change is shocking. The woman who once forgave everything now forgives almost nothing. The one who once stayed and fought now chooses peace instead of pain. They may try to remind her of who she used to be, but that version of her is gone. She's seen too much. She's been hurt too deeply. She's grown too much. And once she's changed like that, there's no going back. Life shifts for her when she finally sees that holding on to something that keeps hurting her is no longer a show of strength, but a quiet form of self-betrayal. When a faithful woman has been deeply hurt, when she has poured everything into someone and received pain in return, she goes through a shift. This change doesn't come from bitterness, and it's not driven by revenge. It comes from something much deeper. A realization that her peace is far more valuable than a relationship built on shaky ground. From a young age, many women are taught that love takes work, that relationships need sacrifice, and that when you truly care for someone, you don't give up on them. And to a degree, that is true. But what is not often taught is that effort must be shared, that sacrifice should not turn into self-harm, and that love should never be used as an excuse to stay in pain. A woman who is genuinely loyal will keep holding on long after others would have walked away. Not because she's needy, but because she has faith in what she's helped create. She believes love is worth fighting for, that people can change, and that problems can be overcome. But one day, she realizes that she's the only one still fighting. She notices that the emotional weight is being carried by her alone. She's the one always explaining, always being patient, always forgiving, while the other person keeps taking, without truly giving anything meaningful back. That's the moment when everything changes. That's when she starts to see clearly. She begins to understand that true peace, deep, lasting peace, cannot grow in a relationship where she constantly feels uncertain, where she keeps wondering, where she's made to feel like she isn't enough. She begins to notice the pattern, the cycle of hurt, apology, and repeat. The promises that are spoken only to stop her from leaving, but are never followed by any real effort to change. And when she steps back and really looks at things for what they are, something in her becomes firm, not from anger, but from truth. She becomes sure of something, that no matter how much love she gives, no matter how much patience she shows, she cannot force someone to value her the way she should be valued. So she stops fighting, not because she has no energy left, though she is exhausted, not because she's full of hate, though she has been mistreated. She stops because she finally sees it for what it is. Love should not feel like a fight every day. Her worth is not measured by how much pain she can handle. Choosing herself is not being selfish. It is necessary. When she finally walks away, she doesn't slam the door. She doesn't seek to get even. She doesn't waste energy trying to show her worth to someone who refused to see it before. She simply walks away. She picks calm over conflict. She chooses being alone over being disrespected. She decides to repair the parts of herself that were broken while loving someone who couldn't love her properly. And here's what most people don't understand. Once a woman who was once endlessly loyal decides to choose peace over pain, she does not return. She doesn't go back to the same nights filled with doubt. She doesn't lower her standards just to keep someone close. She doesn't make excuses for the kind of love that drains her instead of lifting her up. The ones who took her loyalty for granted might try to reach out. They might remind her of the good times. They may promise change now that they feel the hole left by her absence. But they will find that she's not waiting to hear them anymore, because she's finally learned something they never imagined she would, that her peace means more than their presence. And once she chooses peace, she will never again settle for anything less. There is a deep and often painful truth that many people realize only too late. You don't see the full value of someone until they're gone. And when that person is a truly loyal woman, someone who stood beside you through it all, someone who gave you a rare, patient, and unconditional kind of love, the loss doesn't just sting for a moment. It lingers. It changes things. It forces a painful look in the mirror. A woman who loves with deep loyalty doesn't give up easily. She doesn't run at the first problem. She doesn't leave when things become difficult. She stays. She fights. She forgives, often more times than she should. And this is where many make the mistake. They assume that because she stayed, she'll always stay. That because she forgave, she will always forgive. That her patience, her care, and her dedication are just part of her personality, rather than daily choices she makes to believe in you, to trust in the relationship, to hold on to hope. But what happens when she stops believing? What happens when the weight of broken promises, constant letdowns, and ongoing neglect becomes too much to carry? The answer is simple, but heartbreaking. She leaves, not just with her body, but with her heart, her thoughts, her spirit. And when she does, the space she leaves behind isn't just emptiness, it's a painful void. Because it's not only her you lose. You lose the version of yourself she believed in. You lose the encouragement she gave, the hope she saw in you, the way she inspired you to be better, often without you even noticing. At first, her absence might not feel real. You might assume she'll come back. After all, she always did before. You may think that if you say the right things, make the right moves, finally become the person she asked you to be, she'll return. But here's the harsh truth. By the time a woman this loyal walks away, She's already given more chances than you earned. She's forgiven things she should have never accepted. She's waited for change until it was clear it would never come. So she doesn't look back. She doesn't accept apologies that come only because she's gone. She doesn't fall for big promises that should have been kept long ago. She doesn't view the past with the same hopeful lens that once kept her anchored. Instead, she sees it clearly. A lesson. A lesson in what happens when you take someone for granted. A lesson in how love alone cannot carry a relationship. A lesson in the value of self-respect. For the person who lost her, the truth will hit in moments. In the quiet. In the way the house feels emptier. In the silence where her messages used to be. The ones that reminded them to eat, to keep going, to stay hopeful on dark days. In the way no one else looks at them the way she did, with belief that they could become someone better, someone greater. And it's in those quiet hours, when her absence becomes real and heavy, that they will finally grasp what they lost. And the hardest part of it all, they'll understand too late that it didn't have to be this way. That all she ever asked for was to be valued, to be appreciated, to be chosen, not with empty words, but with real actions. That what she needed was never unreasonable. That if they had simply met her halfway, offered her the effort and respect she gave so freely, she'd still be there. But some lessons are only learned through loss. And the toughest one of all is this. Once a loyal woman is hurt deeply enough to leave, she is never the same. And neither are you. So what's the takeaway? Treasure those who are truly loyal before that loyalty disappears. Because real loyalty can't be bought back. Once it's gone, it almost never returns. Now I'd love to hear your side. Have you ever gone through this kind of shift? Have you ever lost or been the one to lose someone who was deeply loyal? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this message spoke to you, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep these powerful conversations going. See you in the next one.